doing a startup in US versus doing a startup in India? There's a difference. How do you see the biggest opportunity for AI in life sciences over the next decade? Drug discovery, personalized medicine, diagnostics?
We don't sell AI models. We package solutions. Life sciences executives, they don't want an algorithm. They want clear business outcome.
Data is everywhere in biotech, but quality and structure are major challenges.
Cutting edge science and engineering is always anchored into business impact. Ecosystem in the US is much easier to tap into. So fundraising is an issue. Our product development is going to be a bit difficult given the AI.
What were the early challenges of building a startup? Today, we are joined by Bhavesh, a seasoned life sciences strategy leader with over 25 years of experience across pharma, biotech, and medtech. Bhavesh has spent his career bridging the gap between science, strategy, and commercialization, helping organizations build innovative capabilities, unlock value through data and technology, and bring transformative healthcare solutions to the market. From advising cutting edge biotech startups to shaping global go to market strategy, he brings a unique blend of scientific depth, strategic clarity, and practical execution. So, welcome Bhavesh on this podcast. I'm recording your intro just in front of Buckingham Palace in London. And those who are already watching these AV Talks talk shows, do subscribe to this channel, give me your feedback through comment or DM. So, Bhavesh, just help us understand a little bit more about the background, right? How you started, from where you are, right? And why healthcare, and within healthcare, what you do.
My journey started in pharmaceutical sales. That was back in mid 90s. I later pursued an MS and an MBA in the US and then worked as a stock analyst in New York, covering major pharma companies. I returned back to India after staying in the US for 6 years and having spent time in the in the stock research space. In India, I held leadership roles with companies like Deloitte, Data Monitor Healthcare, Global Data, Flextrone, Grandview Research, and US Intelligence, leading research and strategy teams focused on life sciences, both pharma as well as medtech. I have spent nearly 25 years analyzing biotech and pharma, building teams, and helping companies make strategic decisions. Along the way, I realized how fragmented the data landscape was. So from clinical trials to regulatory updates. And that experience actually directly inspired in building startup of my own in the name BioLead AI. So that's my journey in a nutshell. I have done a lot of bespoke research work with global biotech, pharma, and medtech companies based in US and Europe. Indication prioritization, market sizing, opportunity assessment, pricing, market access, and also deep pipeline assessment, alongside majorly in terms of neurology, immunology, oncology, and rare diseases. I've done strategic projects for global companies.
So, when you are talking about that, you have done research in some of the client areas that I even interact to, right? They are talking about having third party data where you can do the market competition analysis and things like that. So, what is your point of view? How do you see? Because similar kind of data must be available to different clients, right? So, what is that core thing? What is that secret sauce that made it different, very particular about the client in terms of doing market research?
So this market research is about collecting data which is available in the public domain. I'm talking about open access. So that probably comes mostly from in the context of secondary research. And there is an angle which is high value and high impact, and clients love it. And that's where my expertise also have been centered around is primary market research. Secondary research is all out there, be it regulatory databases, clinical trial registry, publications, scientific databases. So there are proprietary databases too, but public databases are quite a few, and and they are very useful for doing market research and competitive intelligence. But primary research is where the moat is, and the clients drive a lot of value from. So I try to blend primary and market research to in a way that gives, give the right balance in terms of the insights and intelligence that client can fit into their strategic decision making process.
So when you mentioned like you are running your own startup for some time, Bhavish, what were the early challenges of building a startup?
Founder's journey, right, when they start off. Mine is BioLead AI, the company I was talking about, is a bootstrap. So because it's AI heavy, and I come from in the domain side of things, at the end of the day, I would need tech people who can build the platform, right? AI engineers, data scientists, ML engineers, and things like that. That's where the challenge is hiring talent and then being able to fund the expenses, fund the expenditure, which is huge given the doorstep talent, high quality, AI talent, and the kind of money that they're expecting. It's very difficult to fund them. So fundraising is an important aspect, and it's challenging in the given market. Being in India, and because in the platform I'm talking about is global in scope, things could have been much easier if I had continued working from the US. But at least that ecosystem in the US is much easier to tap into. So fundraising is an issue. Our product development is going to be a bit difficult given the AI dominance and the AI focus. Our domain is not at all easy. The idea is that the vision is strong. Technology is where we are kind of heavily dependent on, and our focus is on building a strong and robust platform which is technically sound, and so that we can get that differentiation, because the idea can be replicable otherwise easily by our competitors.
So how many years like you built this startup?
So for me, it has been 10 months. So it's been right from the month of Jan up to now. So yeah, you can say
This is the initial year of like having the nervousness and excitement at the same time.
that's right.
So you mentioned one very particular point, that doing a startup in US versus doing a startup in India, there's a difference. Some of the things that you want to call out.
Getting grants, for example, when you want to be part of an accelerator or an incubator, if you're in India, you have a product which has some scope. Like, for example, the platform that I'm building, which is like clinical trial registry and scientific databases, is basically going to serve global clients more rather than companies based out of India. That's because this is more clinical trial focused tool or platform. Innovation heavy component is in there, right? So Indian companies are not big when it comes to novel product development, new chemical entities, or they are not biotech heavy. So people don't kind of get the big picture, and because the scope is global, because the India component is low, we don't intend to, even though we would like to serve an Indian clients who can turn out to be our customers, but chances are that they would not find our platform attractive given their lack of focus.
Again, like I think the market, the business is more in US, right?
At the end of the day, it's a health tech startup, right? So, and then it's has global scope, less India, allowed outside, more outside of India. So the investors are looking for startups which has some focus on the Indian market, and that's probably one of the challenges that we are experiencing. We've been trying to do some seed fund raising for last several months.
I have very few curated questions that I want to ask you about.
Sure.
You are operating at the crossroad of AI, data science, and life sciences. What was the original vision behind your venture, and how has it evolved?
Yeah, that's a good question, Anil. So at the very beginning, the vision behind BioLead AI was simple, to bring order and intelligence to the fragmented universe of biopharma data. So when we looked at how pharma and biotech professionals make decisions, whether in R&D, regulatory, commercial, or licensing, we saw that their insights were buried, FDA drug levels, clinical trial registry, uh, PubMed articles, and SEC filings, and and countless other silos. So the goal was to unify these disparate data sets into a single living intelligence layer powered by next generation AI. So over time, the vision evolved from just being a search and retrieve tool into a decision support platform. So today, BioLead AI, from a vision standpoint, we are still in MVP, but we have a vision that we don't want to make ourselves positioned just as an aggregator of data. But we want to, clients to interpret our data, contextualize it, and then in a way that it can help their teams model competitive scenarios. So we are aiming to build a multi-layered architecture that integrates knowledge graphs, embeddings, advanced NLP for biomarker extraction, financial intelligence pipelines, and forecasting engines. So if we are able to integrate all that, and we have vision to do that, it will allow us to move from what happened to what does it mean to what should we do next. So in other words, the original mission of unifying scattered data has matured into something larger, right? To become the first choice Gen AI platform for life science strategy. So we now operate at the intersection of AI, data science, and life sciences consulting workflow, helping pharma executives, regulatory affairs, and consultants not only find answers, but also run simulations, forecast outcomes, and then make higher confidence decisions. So the vision has stayed true, democratizing access to deep pharma intelligence, but it has evolved into building a category-defining AI partner.
So, who all are you competition in this area?
Argon AI is in there, Mire AI, and there have been a few more out there who have been successful in terms of at least raising funds. They're all based in the US. But the market is very, very early still. The time is huge. The opportunity is also very, very attractive.
So I'll move to the next one, right? Just connected to the first question. How is AI currently being used to solve real world problems in life sciences? And what areas do you think are still largely untapped?
AI has already, become embedded in several high impact areas of life sciences. If you talk about drug discovery, generative models are already being used to design novel molecules, to predict protein structures, and accelerate lead optimizations. Companies have been able to shorten the hit to lead cycle, from years to months now. I'm talking about companies like in silico, medicine. There are lots of companies out there who have been very successful in terms of platform. So we can say discovery is an area which has the highest impact so far when it comes to the AI. The second thing is clinical development. AI helps optimize clinical trial design, identifying eligible patient population, predicting dropout risks, monitoring safety signals in real time. NLP is increasingly used to mine clinical trial registries and EHR data for insights. The third thing is regulatory and pharmacovigilance. So machine learning models monitor adverse event reports, drug-to-drug interactions, and safety databases, helping regulatory affairs keep pace with an overwhelming data flow. And then commercial strategy is also is a bigger area. AI powers demand forecasting, pricing simulations, CI, and then medical affairs and patient engagement, right? Conversational AI is being used to assist, in answering clinical questions, simplifying trial enrollment, and enabling patient support program. So in short, AI is already reducing timeline and costs and risks across the value chain. So what's still largely untapped, I would say there are several areas still, even though we have a lot of grounds being covered by the areas which I just talked about. And this is where exactly BioLit AI is placing its bets. I just talked about BioLit AI. It's kind of unifying intelligence layer, right? Data is still siloed, clinical, regulatory, and scientific, right? So few platforms truly connect these data in a way to give decision makers a single harmonized view. So while AI is used for drug level predictions, there is limited capability for competitive wargaming, right? Modeling how markets evolve when multiple drugs, pricing strategies, and payer dynamics interact. Regulatory commercial feedback loop, consulting workflow integration, precision market access are some of the other areas where the use case of AI can be really huge, but the penetration is still low currently. we see the next decade of AI in life sciences, right? Moving from point solutions to an integrated intelligence ecosystem. So the biggest untapped opportunity is in connecting science with regulations and markets in one platform that continuously, learns, forecasts, and advises.
So when you look at the customers, right, what are your target customers? If you want to name few, like, is it more with the companies like Eli Lilly, kind of, right, or the companies more on the, let's say, the provider side? So what kind of companies are you targeting?
Yeah, that's a good question. So from the user persona or the user standpoint, the target customer segments for us is going to be business development and licensing professionals, commercial strategy, forecasting, competitive intelligence, because for them it is very, very important to be able to connect these dots because they still work in data silos and they heavily rely on third parties for gathering intelligence, which kind of help them. Like especially when I'm talking about business development and licensing, they're heavily dependent on third parties and they outsource projects because for them to be able to strike deals, they need to really understand the clinical, commercial, and in the scientific landscape to at a level of depth that is not available because public data sources are siloed and manual, and they're heavy on outsource. They need to be heavily reliant on outsource agencies and also their internal competitive intelligence or research teams, right? Consulting teams that can help them in terms of gathering these data. But these data are all, by the time, because the pace of the development in pharma is so rapid and the industry is so rapidly evolving, right? By the time all these data are aggregated by a third party, they might have lost its relevance because some of the products might be either I'm talking about the in licensing and out license side of things, right? So this kind of things really demand in uh, real time data, and when you gather data, and by the time you deliver your reports to maybe a third party is sending a report to a pharma company, 3 weeks or 4 weeks are gone. Maybe the data may have lost its relevance. Some of the trials might have discontinued, and the scientific data may or may not hold true in today's context. So that's a bigger challenge, especially from the commercial standpoint.
When you mention about this, I think speed matters, right, for
Yeah,
decision making, and
yeah.
that is the problem you are going to solve. But did you estimate what will be the effectiveness of your product? Like, if the product is from MVP to end state, what is the life cycle it will shorten up for decision making? Is it like in days, months, weeks? What it will do?
That's a good question, Anil. So typically R is an MVP, but we are expecting, because this is a chat GPT style format, right? So you ask questions, gives you the answers, pretty much like how the chat GPT will give you the answer. Yeah, it's heavy. It's a life science focused, purposely built for life sciences. So it mines the data to really, really well when it comes to clinical trial registries and FDA databases. So we have calculated in a way, and in terms of how much time is going to be saved and how much time and how much cost companies can save by adopting a platform from us.
Yeah.
So it's huge. Apart from speed, it has also implication in terms of saving costs and not driving productivity of the analyst team so that they can use their time more productively in strategic work, because data collection and data gathering is taking up so much of their time, so they are not able to spend time on some high value, and high impact work. We have done all that maths, and we actually have a very detailed, investor deck in place that highlights the values.
Send us over. Maybe we'll just try to put it as part of the video itself. So the next question is, data is everywhere in biotech, but quality and structure are major challenges. How do you approach data readiness and integration for AI models in life sciences?
In pharma, data abundance, right? That does not equal data readiness. So as I was talking, regulatory filings, clinical trials, publications, and EHRs, they all exist in different formats. with different levels of granularity and quality, right? So critical insights, for example, they are hidden in PDFs or nested JSONs or free text, and also inconsistent naming conventions, right? For example, Roche is also known as Genentech, right? And also known as F. Hoffman La Roche. So they are, it's essentially the same company, right? So without harmonization, AI models produce shallow or misleading outputs. So our approach at BioLead AI, we treat data readiness as a first-class problem, not an afterthought. So our pipeline has three pillars that address this issue. That the first one is data harmonization and standardization. The second one is multimodal integration, and the third one is AI, ready curation. See, in life sciences, AI is only as good as the data foundation, right? So by making data interoperable and reliable upfront, BioLead AI enables model to not just retrieve facts, but also region across datasets. For example, linking a phase 3 results to FDA leveling language or financial impact and competitive market dynamics in one unified query. So our philosophy is, data quality is, that does equal to strategy. So we are not just building models on top of raw inputs. We are building, the infrastructure that makes pharma data AI ready. So that readiness is what turns scattered, information into real strategic intelligence.
That's an interesting one. And let me connect it with the role you played. So, in your role as chief business officer, how do you translate complex AI and scientific capabilities into commercial strategies and partnerships?
So, as a chief business officer at BioLead AI, my core mandate is to bridge the gap between the technical depth and strategic relevance. Right. So, our platform is built on sophisticated AI, knowledge graph, NLP for biomarker extraction, and also a probabilistic forecasting engine. But most life sciences executives and consulting partners, they don't want an algorithm. They want a clear business outcome, faster trials or better regulatory navigation, sharper competitive insights. So I translate this by reframing technology as outcome. So instead of multimodal embeddings, I talk about being able to see a drug's clinical, regulatory, and financial journey in one screen. Building use case narratives. I do that a lot for a pharma or BD team. It's about faster due diligence, right? For regulatory affairs, it's level surveillance. For consultant, it's embeddings, right? It's embedding BioLead AI into their client workflow. So I take a segmented market approach. So essentially, we work on three. I mean, my role as a CBO centers around three primary customer groups. So biopharma companies, that's one. The second one is consulting firms, and the third one is financial stakeholders. So each with distinct needs but overlapping reliance on the same data fabric. Because we don't sell data, AI models. We package solutions, regulatory intelligence module, competitive forecasting engines, and deal support insights. My goal is to position BioLead AI as a decision support pilot, not as a replacement for internal teams but a multiplier of their expertise. So with
It is like co-pilot for the decision makers.
right. For consulting firms, which is a big customer segment for us, I tend to structure partnerships where they bring domain expertise and client access, while BioLead AI brings the tech backbone. So this allows them to productize insights while we gain distribution and validation. So in short, my role is to ensure that BioLead AI's cutting edge science and engineering is always anchored to business impact. So I'm constantly asking, how does this model help a client make a $500 million decision with more confidence? Or how does this capability open a door to a new revenue stream or partnership? So that transition from deep tech to clear commercial value is what turns BioLead AI from a promising platform into a category leader.
So one thing that you also mentioned earlier, so talent is critical. What kind of interdisciplinary skills do you look for when building a team at the intersection of biology, data science, and business?
We need people, right, who can read a clinical trial protocol or interpret a biomarker paper, right, without getting lost. This does not mean everyone is a PhD scientist, but we look for fluency, in the language of biology and medicine. For example, a PDL1 biomarker signal, the team understand, its clinical uh, relevance. Equally critical is talent that can, handle messy multimodal life sciences data from, PDFs to EHRs to, SEC filings and build pipelines that make it AI ready. So we like to have talent and people with skills in NLP, NER, for biomedical text, knowledge graph construction and embeddings, probabilistic modeling and simulations. For example, Monte Carlo or Bayesian inference or ML ops for compliance heavy environments. Even the best models fail if they don't connect, to business impact. So that's why we hire people who can, translate AI output to commercial or regulatory decisions, build storytelling dashboards, that resonate with pharma and executive consultants. So interdisciplinary mindset is also an important, attribute that we look from our talent. So what sets our team apart is not just skills, right? It's also the ability to cross boundaries. So, for example, a data scientist who asks, how would a regulatory affairs person use this? Or a business strategist who grasps why ontologies matter for harmonizations. So BioLit's AI philosophy is, in terms of talent hunting, is we don't just hire AI people or pharma people, we hire translators and integrators, right? So people who thrive in ambiguity, understand that data quality is strategy, right? For us, that's an important mode. And we are excited to define, a new category, at the intersection of biotech and AI.
So anyone who's looking to work with you, and I'm because there are so many freshers reach out to me, what they should learn, get trained. That's the first question. And second part of it, how do they reach out to your team for hiring?
We are working with a bunch of interns. They're all because of the fact that we're bootstrap and we're still, looking for funding, build a strong technical team. We have not been able to hire talent who are strong in biology, or basically the people who are working with us in terms of building the platform are, people having engineering degree. Some come from the statistics background, some come from the engineering, computer science background, and we work with them. But that sophistication is something that's still lacking. We need to have people experience higher, who can help build the platform to the level that we want our vision to be executed. But that's something that's not there because of the lack of the finances.
Right. So I think there is, you're talking about someone who's passionate, who's good in technology, who's ready to learn biotech.
Yeah.
That is the right fit for this type of, so the mindset is definitely clear around it. One last question that I want to ask you, how do you see the biggest opportunity for AI in life sciences over the next decade? Drug discovery, personalized medicine, diagnostic, or somewhere else entirely?
See, if you talk about drug discovery, AI has its impact already. Drug discovery has turned to a maturing place. We have lots of companies out there, and AI has already transformed early discovery, generative chemistry, protein folding, hit to lead cycle. This has been more or less transformed by the AI platform, which are currently being marketed. So this will continue, but it's becoming crowded and capital intensive. So many players are there in drug discovery, and the bottleneck is also increasingly wet lab validation rather than algorithms. The second one is personalized and precision medicine. That offers high promise, but it also comes with slow adoption. So AI can stratify patients, right, by genomics, by biomarkers, or by digital phenotypes. So the challenge here is data access and regulatory alignment. Um, Across EHRs, payer groups, and multi-omics data. It will happen, but adoption will be slower because it requires system-level transformation. Diagnostics is strong, but it's fragmented. Imaging AI and liquid biopsies, they are improving early detection, but reimbursement and clinical integration remains hurdles. Many diagnostic AIs become point solutions, right, without scaling into enterprise platform. And last but not the least is which is the overlooked frontier is the strategic intelligence and market simulation. This is where we play in, and we're playing or placing our bet on. The biggest opportunity is not just in molecule discovery or diagnostics. It's building a decision support ecosystem that unifies science with regulation and market dynamics. Imagine a digital twin of pharma markets, right? Where trial outcomes, FDA actions, payer decisions, and competitor moves, they are continuously simulated so that executives, regulators, and consultants, they could test strategies, right, before committing billions of dollars. So this space is not just about speeding up discovery. It's about reshaping how the industry allocates capital and reduces risk. So the next decade won't be defined by just molecule design or precision diagnostics. It will be defined by how AI integrates fragmented data sets into actionable intelligence across the entire drug life cycle. So we see the biggest opportunity in strategic cross-functional AI platform. One that don't just tell you what molecules to design, but also which trials to run, how regulators may react, or how payers will reimburse, and how competitors will respond. So that's the category defining space we are building toward.
That's really interesting. And I think before investing billions of dollars, before starting clinical trials, right, this is the space where your platform can give insightful decision making insights, right? So that's really cool about the platform. Right now, you mentioned that you are using knowledge graph, you're using Gen AI component, I'm assuming the rack pipeline, and then there are some data engineering pipeline to fuel the data. Once there is a right capital invested, are you thinking to train your life sciences model also?
Yeah, we're thinking of that too. But the phase of platform build is around connecting trial registry with regulatory database and this scientific databases like NCPI, PubMed data, and news sources, right? So they don't talk to each other as of now. They're not interconnected. Things are still done manually, and they're being curated manually, and it's a huge, it's time-consuming process. And data is lost in interpretation, right? And insights are lost in interpretation. So that's the space we are trying to build to begin with. But over time, we will also bring in the predictive side of things, right? Probability of success, comparing endpoints in different asset classes. What's the probability of success of a trial given the current endpoint? And how do I stand, right? From a BD and licensing professional standpoint, it is how do I position my product? I mean, what's the kind of risk that I might see vis-a-vis my competition? As we move on, we're looking to play the predictive side of things, the implications, and the so what's coming next. That's the area we are looking to harness. So yeah, to begin with, these are the things that we are trying to connect all these disparate data sets which sit in silos. And people spend all this commercial strategy and BD&L professionals to spend weeks together when it comes to building pipeline projects around market opportunities, assessment, and things like that. I mean, weeks can be turned into, it's a matter of a couple of days with the ability of this platform that can deliver the kind of insight that we're looking to give it to them so that they can spend more of their time in strategic orientation. So that their time is more valued in thinking about the next steps rather than collecting data from different sources and curating them manually. So that's where this value proposition of BioLite AI comes into play.
I completely agree, and I see the potential because the market size is huge. The scope of this life sciences, and there's more need of the applications of the platform like what you're building. So with that, Bhabish, I would congratulate you for taking the bold step and starting something that you feel a high potential in, and that is going to solve a major problem in healthcare industry. Thank you for taking time over the weekend coming on this talk show. I really enjoyed, and probably we can record few more sessions like this into different parts and
Sure.
making it structured. So with that, thank you so much, Bhavesh. Anything that you wanna close this talk show with? Any last thought?
Thank you so much, Anil, for giving me the opportunity. It's nice talking to you and to understand your perspective. And you asked some really good questions. And, I'm really glad we could make it. So, yeah, thank you again.